Oh, Amy, this is David Huggs with Myrtle Beach SC News, and we're
Yeah,
talking to Amy Duval, Amy Whispers. Amy, you've got quite a thing going on in Charleston, and we've got
yeah,
Valentine's Day coming up here soon. So we thought this would
yeah,
be an excellent time to talk with you about exactly what you do. And so would you tell our audience what you do? Explain it to them.
yeah, absolutely. So I am a dating expert and the founder at Amy Whispers. And so what I do personal coaching. So dating coaching, that involves a number of different things that I can get into. But I also do singles events and currently working on a platform to do even more in a number of different cities. But where should I start? Should I talk about the coaching or what I'm
Well,
doing with the
let's start
events?
with your background. I was talking
Yeah,
with a friend, and your background is fascinating. Daughter of a pastor. It sounds like you've been in the tech world. How did
yeah,
how did tell me about your past and how that got you here? There's always a
yeah.
road there. Tell me how it got you here.
Yeah, absolutely. So, growing up, again, my dad is a pastor, a professor of theology, and growing up in the world of ministry, we always had people over at our house that we were either ministering to or helping in some way. So, my mom had a heart for older people. So, a lot of times, like at Valentine's Day this year, for example, she went and visited people in the nursing home and threw like this little like fun dance event for some of these older people that are really lonely, right? So she always had a heart for people that were lonely and just really being great helpers and doing things for people in the community. And so I think I definitely took some of that on and have like if you take some different personality tests, like on the Enneagram, I'm a number 2, so the helper. So I'm always wanting to kind of bring out the best in other people and as well as myself. But growing up, super shy, I was painfully shy. And I remember even like at recess as a kid, just sitting with the teacher, too afraid to go and interact with the other kids. And this really continued through even up until high school and starting college. I think one thing that really changed for me as I started to study communication is that I realized, oh, wow, this is really, I think a lot of times with communication, we think it's a skill set that you either have or you don't have, you're good at it or you're not. And I think what I learned is that it's actually a skill, just like anything else, that you can work at, improve upon, and build that skill set. And so going to grad school, teaching public speaking courses at the University of Arkansas, I think one thing that I really gained a passion for was helping other people have that same turning point where they realize I can work at my communication skills, I can build better relationships, and I can go out and find people to have these relationships with and make these meaningful connections stick. So that was something that was really ingrained in my mind as being very important. And then from there, I ended up working in marketing for a number of years, and then in sales, and then eventually in tech sales in Silicon Valley. So I was leading business development efforts for a lot of different startups and early stage companies in the tech space. And I think one thing that I realized through all of these experiences is it's just about having these meaningful connections, right? And I was meeting a lot of really smart people in the tech space, but that didn't have maybe these skills of emotional intelligence.
And let me say this: the word's
Yeah,
gotten around about you. Apparently, you're extremely good at what you do. Now, I
thank
heard
you.
you talk earlier about your helper personality and the personality profile.
Yes.
Is that a
Yeah.
part of your coaching that you do personality profiling?
Yes, so absolutely. I one of the first things that I do when I meet with someone is understand their Myers-Briggs personality type. So if you're
Like an
introverted,
for our audience, that's like if you Google like I'm an INTJ and I
exactly.
do well with an ENFP and all that stuff. You basically can take the 16 personality types, if I'm right, and you
Yes,
basically assess how someone's personality works, right?
exactly.
And then what a good match would be for them as far as another personality type. You do that type of coaching.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly. Because it's like you have to first understand yourself if you're ever going to understand the type of person that you would be a good match for, or someone that, you know, first of all, who are you? And then what type of person are you wanting? And then how are you representing yourself? Because are you representing yourself as you really are? A, and B, are you representing yourself in a way that would attract the type of person that you really want to be with? And a lot of times I'll find that those things are not lining up. So for example, someone is really adventurous, but maybe on their dating app, they, you know, just are talking about how much they're working, and it's just not computing to attracting that type of person they're really wanting to attract. So I do a lot of work with overhauling dating apps, making sure your pictures are super quality, your bio looks on point, everything is just presenting you in the best possible light to find that person that you're really looking for.
Do you find that most people want a relationship that will last? Most of your clients really are looking for lasting relationships.
Absolutely. I think there is a myth or a stereotype, especially with men, that men don't want committed relationships. And I would say that's far from the truth. I think most of the men that I talk to, and I think most men at the end of the day, and almost everyone really wants that committed relationship. We don't want to be lonely. We want someone to share our lives with and our experiences with, and to have that person that we're committed to and we trust and really has our back at the end of the day. So I think most people do really want to find love. I think we stop saying that we want to find it when we find that it's difficult to achieve that, or difficult to find that committed relationship, and we almost say it as a sort of defense mechanism. Well, I don't really want a committed relationship, or I don't really want that anyhow. But really, it's about like developing that skill set so that you can both attract and maintain that relationship once you find someone that you do really like.
So I'm listening to everything you're sharing, and I now know why you're so good. I'm a divorced male.
Yeah.
And what I found, and we're talking about a lot of money in therapy, okay? Tons. I don't know. What we found was that my personality type was attracted to my opposite. For example, if you're a driver personality, you might maybe marry a nurturer. But what I discovered, and this was the hardest thing for me to discover, was while we attract our opposites as far as how we're designed, we often attract who we are when it comes to our emotional level. For example, an unhealthy angry person might marry an unhealthy rescuer. But there's healthy people, and health marries health, and unhealthy tends to be unhealthy. And so when it comes to the spiritual component, which I can tell you have by your background, there's a lot of time spent on, okay, so you're designed this way, but I see that you've got some emotional baggage. I'll use that word. Emotional issues. Have you thought about dealing with that? Does your coaching take you all the way through that level?
Oh, absolutely. So we do, I run the whole gamut. Just to give you like an overview, I typically start with just a whole assessment. So personality type, attachment style, love language, Enneagram, and we go through the whole spiel. And then really getting to know who that person is, what they're about, and then what their dreams are, what their core values are, and then also what they're looking for in a partner. And then I also delve into what were your past relationships like both the ones that were truly significant. And the ones that were recent. And then we look into that and I help clients to identify their own patterns and kind of come to their own conclusions on what worked, what didn't work. And then a lot of times I will refer out to resources on boundaries. There's a great book by Henry Cloud and John Townsend on boundaries and relationships. Attachment style. So Attached by Amir Levine. It's a great resource on understanding attachment style and identifying someone early on that might be anxious or avoidant. Not to say that we can't make things work with different attachment styles, but understanding those is key. And then all types of issues, having assertive communication versus passive aggressive or passive or aggressive. And sometimes we need to push forward. Sometimes we need to scale back. And I think there is a very spiritual aspect to a lot of this, just in terms of what I'm doing is not revolutionary, but it's just about applying practical wisdom to this part, all the parts of our lives. I think we do it a lot when it comes to, like, if we want to work out, we'll get a trainer, we'll go to the gym, or we'll eat healthy. But when it comes to our dating lives, we just think, oh, this is just going to happen. And sometimes we're very disconnected and disjointed from our dating life as kind of being a part of our spiritual life as well, and just a reflection of that, and applying just that practical wisdom to this part of our life, just like we do everything else.
And what I find, and I don't know, Amy, this was true about me in my early life. We go from illusion to reality to checking out, cycling back in from illusion to reality. And so we end up cycling through multiple relationships. If we don't work on it, it ends up being a vicious cycle. When reality sits in, we go, whoa. And then, so what I find, and that with Valentine's Day coming up, guys, and let me just say this, I don't know what you charge, but you're much cheaper than a divorce. I can tell you.
Absolutely.
I mean, you don't want the pain, you don't want the emotional damage, especially when children are brought into it. Why do you think, and I'm going to ask this because, and forgive me if you don't want to answer it, don't answer.
No, it's fine.
Think that people would do much better with a service like yours than joining something like Match.com or these other, and I'm not belittling those practices, those principles, but there's a half a dozen or so dating sites out there.
Yeah.
Why would you say, even if you're going to do that, why would you say, do this too? This is the value proposition of why you should talk to someone who's a dating coach like Amy Whispers. Why would you recommend that?
That's a great question. So I think there's all sorts of quote unquote dating coaches and love gurus out there these days on TikTok. There's more advice coming at you than ever before, right? And having someone with expertise, with social scientific research, with practical wisdom that can kind of help you guide you through this course of your dating life and this next chapter, maybe after a divorce, is really key. And it's nice to have someone that's not your therapist, but that's not your best friend. It's just someone that can kind of be like your expert wing woman to kind of guide you through and give you good advice. And I think my approach, I come at it from a place of I'm non-judgmental. I've heard it all. I'm also very compassionate, and I help you kind of come to some of these realizations and make choices that benefit you on your own. I think the choices that we make for ourselves are much more impactful than, me sitting here and saying, do this, do that. And then I also help you optimize your dating apps. So you're using them efficiently, effectively. You're getting the very most out of your time spent on your apps. And then I help you meet more people in your everyday life. If you want to apply for and attend an event, that's fun too. So I give you a lot of different avenues for meeting people, but my goal is to get you in your best, get you in the best state possible to where when you are meeting those people, you are really putting your best foot forward.
If our readers wanted to use your services or attend one of your events, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Absolutely. So you can email me, hello@amywhispers.com. Come to my website, amywhispers.com, or you can check me out on Instagram. So amy.whispers, any of the above.
Amy Whispers, WHISPERS.com.
Yes.com.
Guys, I'm going to listen as a guy who's high mileage person who finally figured it out after a lot of misfires. I'm going to just highly recommend your services. especially around this
Thank you.
Valentine's Day period where we're all thinking about it. Thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Is there any key upcoming event that you want to tell us about?
Yeah, so in terms of singles events, I don't have anything planned in the near term future, but I do have a couple master classes that I'm going to be offering on identifying the red and green flags in relationships. So what to stay away from, what to actually look for. So these positive flags, and then how to move into the next phase of your life, maybe after divorce or after a breakup. So I've got a couple awesome classes coming up in addition to personal coaching sessions.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you.